I'm Bob Chesia. I am presently acting president of the Scituate Historical Society and chairman of the trustees. I'm also a lifelong Scituate resident. Well, Thomas Lawson built this beautiful estate on Scituate, and when he built it, this Scituate Water Company built a water tower across the street from the estate, and his wife did not like the looks of it. So she said, do something about it. Well, being a loving husband that he was, he sent his architect to Europe. He started in England, and he made it as far as what was Constantinople at the time. On the way back, he saw a stone tower on the Rhine River, Castle Starlick, and he copied it, and he built it for his wife to keep her happy. He went to the water company and the selectmen, and he got permission to enclose it. He couldn't touch the actual tank. He had to build away from it. And fortunately, there were a lot of unemployed shipbuilders at the time from the North River and so on and so forth, so he could use them. They were used to building structures that were curved. So he put it up within a year, encased the water tank, took the actual top off. When it was finally decommissioned, the tank itself, we had most of it removed except for 10 feet. Yeah, Thomas Lawson at one point was one of the 10 wealthiest people in the United States. He made a lot of money on a copper deal. So his wife, who was sickly, they used to live near the ocean in the summer because it was cooler. You couldn't live in the city, it was just too hot. So he had lived in various places for the summer, and he was at that time, he was living in Cohasset on what's called the Bryant Estate, Harmony Point, where the Jesuit retreat is now in Cohasset Harbor. He wanted to buy it. It was a beautiful place. It was designed by H.H. Richardson, who did Trinity Church, among other things. Since it was tied up in litigation, he couldn't buy it. He was out with his wife. They were the horse and carriage for a ride, and they stopped in the Egypt section of Scituate. And she said, oh, what a beautiful place. Back then, all the trees were cut down. You could see the ocean from all those spots. So he went out and bought 350 acres right away. Eventually, it was 1,000 acres. And he had around 65 buildings at one point. He had racing stables for his racehorses, which were trotters. It was around 800 feet long. He had a show horse stable for his show horses. He had a riding academy that was second in size at that time, I think only to West Point, Indoor Riding Academy. He had cow barns. He had around 3,000 birds at one time. A lot of different animals, dogs, especially bulldogs. They were his favorite. He had his own chef for the bulldogs. He had 200 dogs usually, and the chef would cook them their meals. When he built the tower, he wanted to put some bells in, basically for the entertainment of the town. So he put 10 bells up there from 300 pounds to 3,000 pounds. Actually, the bells were installed when the tower was put up, it was finished in 1902, so it would have been then. And the company that put them in, Manili Bell, they're all over the country. I've seen them everywhere. We have another company now come in once a year to maintain them, to make sure everything's all right. I've actually had the Irish ambassador up from D.C., and he played when Irish Eyes Are Smiling on the bells. We call this the clock room, which is technically behind me, this little building, and it's to protect the clock. The clock was made by E. Howard of Boston. It was installed in 1902 when the tower was done. And it strikes on the hour, it plays the chimes at 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. And it's good for 7 days. You have to wind it with a big crank. It's around 240 turns to get the big weight up from the ground. The clock itself is a lot smaller. It doesn't need as much to wind, but it's quite a project.